Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of my favorite writers, and in his essay on self-reliance, he's basically telling that you have to basically rely on your own wisdom and be alive to your own circumstances and strategizing and doing what's necessary for you. If you sit there and just read books and listen to what other people tell you, you're hopeless because you'll never be able to think on your own. And the formlessness is the fact that you're fluid in life. The most powerful people have a fluidity, and as they get older, they don't get rigid, they retain their youthful fluidity, and they're able to move with the times, change, their ideas change. So it's a psychological game more than anything else. With that, you retain your youthfulness and your ability to play the power game.
You learn things painfully. When you learn something painfully, a part of you has to die. That's the pain. You know, when a dream is shattered, for example, a huge part of you that constituted that dream, maybe even the biological substrate of that dream, has to be stripped away and burned. Life is a constant process of death and rebirth. And to participate in that fully is to allow yourself to be redeemed by it. And so the good is that process of death and rebirth, voluntarily undertaken. It's like you're not as good as you could be, so you let that part of you die. And if someone comes along and says, you know, there's some dead wood here, man, it needs to be burned off. You think, well, that stuff's still a bit alive. When that burns, it's gonna hurt. It's like, yeah, well, no kidding. But maybe the thing that emerges in its place is something better. And I think this is the secret of human beings. This is what we're like.
I tell young men, it's like, find something difficult to do. You need that. You're not built for comfort or pleasure. Like if that comes along, good. If you have a day where you're comfortable and there's some things around you that give pleasure, have some sense and enjoy it. But don't be thinking that's what your life is aimed at. That's contemptible. Everyone knows that. And if they orient themselves in that hedonistic direction, there's nothing in it but shame. No one is proud of themselves for using pornography. They might screech and bitch about their right to do it. I can live whatever lifestyle I want. It's like, well, first of all, no, you can't. That doesn't work. It won't work for you because you can't sell yourself out, and it won't work for other people. When I tell people this, the audiences always go dead silent. It's like the adventure in your life will be found in responsibility.
Discipline your thoughts. Stop thinking too much. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Why? Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you completely immerse into whatever you are doing. And this means you have arrived. Everything can become possible if you find the way to translate what is in the mind into action, because this transformation makes things come to us.
If you really want to be transformed, you have to live an intentional life. This is so simple, I don't want you to miss it. Most people don't lead their life, they accept their life. And when you accept your life, you are living on things that are not worthy of your time and effort and energy.
You know how miserable you are now? You're afraid of making the necessary changes, but you know how miserable you are now? Just imagine how miserable you could be in 10 years. And in all likelihood, what you'll find is that you're way more afraid of that than you are of whatever's stopping you in the present.
Somebody who does not have enough courage, who does not have enough discipline, who does not have willpower, maybe he just does not have the power anymore to keep on going and going and going after he failed so many times. But because of these failures, because there is something inside of you which feels that you don't want to fail the fourth and fifth and sixth time anymore. Because of this, something else inside of you starts to become very, very strong. And once again, and then you only need to keep repeating and going. Repeating and going. Don't lose sight. Don't lose sight.
One of the most brilliant things that was ever said to me by an extremely skilled psychoanalyst is so simple, and yet I do think it's the most fundamental thing to understanding oneself, is that it's all internal. right? If you finish a marathon in first place, no one comes along and drips dopamine in your ear. You self-generate that. It's all internal. It's all about your internal representation. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't good and bad events in life, but the fact of the matter is that if you set the next milestone as just outside the distance of what you're comfortable with, and you make it there, if you allow yourself a moment to register that win, you get energy to then set the next milestone and achieve it. That energy is dopamine converted into epinephrine, into adrenaline.
Everything you could ever ask for, you could ever have now, or ever ask for in the future, you already have right now. You already have all of it. You simply are not experiencing it. Because everything that has ever happened is happening now, and ever will happen is happening right now. And so it is for you merely to reach into the sea of infinite possibilities and call forth the reality you choose now to experience. And you do this, you call forth from the sea of infinite possibilities the reality you choose to now experience through three devices mainly: thought, word, and action. Now, if what you say is, please give me what I need today to survive, you will have a struggle acquiring what you need today to survive, because the statement comes from a deep underlying thought that you do not now have that, or you wouldn't be asking for it.
One thing I figured out later in life is generally great people have great outcomes. You just have to be patient. Every person I met at the beginning of my career 20 years ago, where I looked at them and said, wow, that guy or gal is super capable, so smart and dedicated, all of them, almost without exception, became extremely successful. You just had to give them a long enough time scale. It never happens in the time scale you want or they want, but it does happen. Apply specific knowledge with leverage, and eventually you will get what you deserve. It takes time. Even once you have all of these pieces in place, there is an indeterminate amount of time you have to put in. If you're counting, you'll run out of patience before success actually arrives. Everybody wants to get rich immediately, but the world is an efficient place. Immediate doesn't work. You do have to put in the time. You do have to put in the hours. And so I think you have to put yourself in the position with the specific knowledge, with accountability, with leverage, with the authentic skill set you have to be the best in the world at what you do. You have to enjoy it and keep doing it, keep doing it, and keep doing it. And don't keep track and don't keep count, because if you do, you will run out of time. The most common bad advice I hear is, you're too young. Most of history was built by young people. They just got credit when they were older. The only way to truly learn something is by doing it. Yes, listen to guidance, but don't wait. People are oddly consistent. Karma is just you repeating your patterns, virtues, and flaws until you finally get what you deserve. Always pay it forward and don't keep count. This is not to say it's easy. It's not easy. It's actually really freaking hard. It is the hardest thing you will do, but it's also rewarding. Look at the kids who are born rich. They have no meaning to their lives. Your real resume is just a catalog of all your suffering. If I ask you to describe your real life to yourself and you look back from your deathbed at the interesting things you've done, it's all going to be around the sacrifices you made, the hard things you did. However, anything you're given doesn't matter. You have your four limbs, your brain, your head, your skin. That's all for granted. You have to do hard things anyway to create your own meaning in life. Making money is a fine thing to choose. Go struggle. It is hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's really hard, but the tools are all available. It's all out there. Money buys you freedom in the material world. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to solve your health problems. It's not going to make your family great. It's not going to make you fit. It's not going to make you calm, but it will solve a lot of external problems. It's a reasonable step to go ahead and make money. What making money will do is solve your money problems. It will remove a set of things that could get in the way of being happy, but it is not going to make you happy. I know many very wealthy people who are unhappy. Most of the time, the person you have to become to make money is a high anxiety, high stress, hardworking, competitive person. When you have done that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you suddenly make money, you can't turn it off. You've trained yourself to be a high anxiety person. Then you have to learn how to be happy. Let's get you rich first. I'm very practical about it because, Buddha was a prince. He started off really rich, then he got to go off in the woods. In the old days, if you wanted to be peaceful inside, you would become a monk. You would give up everything, renounce sex, children, money, politics, science, technology, everything, and you would go out in the woods by yourself. You had to give everything up to be free inside. Today, with this wonderful invention called money, you can store it in a bank account. You can work really hard, do great things for society, and society will give you money for things it wants, but doesn't know how to get. You can save money, you can live a little below your means, and you can find a certain freedom. That will give you the time and the energy to pursue your own internal peace and happiness.